School Prep Room, saving you both time and money. Hello and welcome to School Prep Room's latest tutorial on viewing bookings. This is the second in a three-part tutorial series on the View Bookings page. The reason we split this up is because the View Bookings page has an awful lot going on. We can do an awful lot here, and so we thought it would be easier to break it up into chunks. In the first session, we looked at the various parts of the page and how to get basic information, what these colored bars do. If you want to find out about that, please watch our first video. Today we're going to look at how to see the detail of a booking, how to delete a booking, how to move a booking, how to add an ad hoc booking, how to contact a teacher, and how to add notes to yourself. In the third video, we're going to look at more complicated things, such as how to book out days and periods as chunks, and how to split work between technicians. So the first thing to introduce you today is to the little context menu, which we can access by right-clicking anywhere on the bookings part of the page. This will give us a little menu with most of the options that we've just talked about. And that will stay around if we move around on the page, and we can get it to disappear by right-clicking somewhere else on the page. If we're not in the bookings area of the page, we click somewhere else on the page, we'll get the usual Windows context menu. So to see the details of a booking, we need to right-click on somewhere where there is a booking, and then go down and select Details. We're then presented with a little pop-up window with all the details for this booking in. It shows when the booking's for, the day and week commencing, the period, the room, who booked it. It will also tell us which class it's booked for in this case, because the school have updated a full timetable, the topic that it's under, and the exact time that it was booked at. It tells us that this is a booking for the acid-base reaction practical, and then it will tell us what the requested items are, some instructions, some safety information with links to the CLEAPS HES cards. If we were to click on those, we could go and view those. It would take us directly to them. We have a little link here to BBC Bitesize. If we click on that, it will open the Bitesize page and show us that information. And we also have a file here as well. If we click on that, it will open that in a new window as well. You can see we've just uploaded a test file here. But this could contain all sorts of information. For example, it could be a PDF of a stored practical from your examination board. This information is quite useful for viewing, but not very helpful for printing. So if you click on the print button, you will then get a page that lays it out in a suitable way to be printed, and the system will automatically open the print dialog box. You can then select print, and that will be printed out on whatever printer you've selected. So if you want to be able to hand out a full list of equipment and some safety information for each of your practicals, with all the other information on there, then that's relatively easy to do. If we go back to the bookings page, we'll now look at how we can remove a booking. So, for example, we have a eyeball dissection here. We're going to remove this booking. We can delete the booking fairly easily by right-clicking and selecting Delete Practical. We'll get a little box saying, are you sure you want to delete this practical? And if we click OK, then that practical will be permanently deleted from the bookings part of the system. This is a stored practical, and of course the stored practical will still remain as a stored practical on the system, so that it can be booked at another time. If someone else has booked it, it wouldn't affect that at all either. Perhaps we have come to a point in the day where the teacher has decided that they wanted to do the carbonate experiment this week. So we're looking at this practical down here. but unfortunately something cropped up in the lesson and they weren't able to complete it, and so they want to move it forward a week. So we can do that by clicking on Move Forward, and we'll get a little box saying that we're moving forward this booking forward 1 week. So that would move it at the minute to Monday in room L45 at period 5. Actually, they're not having that class then, they're having that class on Tuesday, and on Tuesday they have it in K4, period 3. If I click, it will then say that the booking's been moved, and if I click OK, the page will update. And that booking has now been moved to next Tuesday. If I click to next Tuesday's bookings, you can see that that is now been automatically moved to that. Using this feature, you have to make sure that there is space to take that booking in that slot. So if the teacher had booked another practical in that slot, you would have to first delete the booking before you could move a booking into that slot. It must be an empty slot. If you try to move it and there's something in the way, then you will just get an error message and the booking won't move. In a similar manner, if someone has booked something in the wrong week, so perhaps they were a bit ahead of themselves and you need to move a booking back a week, you can then select Move Back, and you get a similar dialog box, and it works in the same way as the Move Forward a week, only of course it's going to move back 1 week in this case. Now, for example, sometimes you might get a teacher who wants something that you're quite happy to provide at the last minute. So we've had situations where period 1, the teachers come in and said, can I have some extra coloured pencils period 1 today in K8. I might want to add that to my booking sheet so I don't forget to do it. I can do that by right clicking on an empty slot and then clicking on Add Practical. Now this is really only suitable for small things that you might want to add. So I'm just going to add coloured pencils, and I'm going to add that as a booking there. Now, we wouldn't recommend using these ad hoc bookings for anything more complicated than just something you need to remember to take to a room at a particular time. They will all be just labelled as special as the title, and you can see of course that a technician has added this here. We can get the details of that of course in the same way as previously by just clicking on Details, and we can see that coloured pencils appears there. There isn't really any options to add safety information, resources or instructions for a booking like this. So this is why it's there, just for something simple that's a last minute thing that you want to add. The next thing we need to look at is how to contact a teacher about a booking. So we need to choose a booking that someone has perhaps added as a teacher. So we're going to go for this one here, the Alkaline Metals demo. And let's imagine that we just want to check whether they want the large or the small trough. So we can go to Email Teacher, and this will open up a small window which will allow us to type in a little email message. And you can see that it's already populated the subject bar with the booking that we're talking to the teacher about. So I can simply say, can I check if you want the large or small trough? And then if I click send, it will send that email directly to the teacher. And the clever thing is that the system will then allow the teacher to email back to the technician's email address who sent the email. So in this case, that would come directly back to me. As with all of the email communications with the website, please ensure that your email server will allow our emails through. If you do have any problems, let us know, and please also talk to your own IT staff about that. The last thing I want to show you is how to add a note. You can do this by just clicking on Add Note, which is next to the day that you're interested in. So here we're going to add one for Monday. and remember to order weed for next week. And I can just add a note there that reminds me to order some pondweed for the next week. And you can see that note has then been added. You can see who it was and when it was added. And they will be printed on the sheets if you printed out a paper copy of these sheets. This can be really useful because it allows you to put something in once you've looked ahead in order to make sure that you remember to order something or do a task if you need to do that around the lab on that particular day. We're hoping in the future to be able to add this facility as sort of semi-automatic, so that when you have a practical that uses something that you have to order in, you can then say, I need 3 days notice of ordering that in, and the system will automatically add a note to the system to remind you to order it 3 days before the practical is actually due. And that would then save you the task of having to add those notes manually yourself. So I hope that's all been clear as ever, particularly with this part of the site. Set it up and have a go before people are using it too much, and see how it works. Try different things out. It's probably the best way to learn how to use all the different functions here. Do tune in for our final and third video, which will look at how we can split work between technicians and how you can book out a lab for an entire day or a period for an entire day. This can be useful, for example, if you're doing interviews or there are other things going on in the school where a lab won't be able to be used, or you wouldn't be able to do a practical in a lab. So for example, if you have someone coming in to repair the gas, then the gas might have to be turned off for a couple of those labs that day, and you might want to say, right, we're not going to do any practicals that day in those labs. So that's the end. I hope you found it useful, and as ever, if you think there's anything we can improve, anything we can add that would make the system more useful to you, do let us know. We love to hear these things. We can't promise to be able to add everything, but we're looking to make this as flexible a system as we can for everybody. Thank you very much for listening.